Hey guys, today we're going to talk about patch 11.11. It's been a while. I was away for the holidays, and then I had to get a laptop charger, and I ended up having to get more RAM, so that was fun. But we're back now, and let's see what the changes are before we start playing again next season. So, neutral, we got some interesting ones here, it looks like. I see Chironax Unicorn already. So, Black Blood, Alchemy Tag. Looks like there's a bunch of tag stuff. We'll go through these in order, though. Chironax has 9 provision instead of 8, and if you have Unicorn in hand, play it, then draw a card. I really like this. So the problem with the Unicorn and Chironax is on paper they have decent value. The issue is if you just lose one of them, the other one just becomes bad. This allows you to play 2 in 1 turn, which gives you a really strong tempo play, which is quite interesting. We'll be playing around with this. And it also goes quite well with the, what's her name? The Scoia'tael card from last patch, where you play a relic, it triggers the convergence. So you can play 2 convergences in a turn with this. So I like this change. It's going to be a little expensive, and you're really going to want to have both in your hand at the same time, but you can make that happen. And I just think they nerfed Unicorn and Chironax too hard back when they did the nerfs, so it's glad to see them get some attention. I'm not sure they'll be super strong, but it's nice to see them having a nice buff here. Now Decoy has Warfare. Decoy's a fun card. I answered a comment about this a while back. Decoy has some niche uses that are very interesting. With the Warfare tag, you might be able to do something with that in Siege, because Siege thins a lot, which is what you want for your Decoy, so you can make it consistent. And also as Warfare, so you can pull out of your deck if you want to with John Natalius. So that's interesting. Lady of the Lake has Relic tag. It's pretty interesting. It's not too big of a deal, though. I just think it helps in your Scoia'tael deck where you want to make more convergences. Ornate Sensors Alchemy. Sangreal, boost or purify and boost by 12 and infuse with once both players have passed, damage self by 12. Okay, that's very interesting. So you can boost something by 12 and purify it. Now this is actually quite interesting. So you can for example, so you have a really powerful engine card. So you have like your Hefty Helga, and the opponent locks it. You can purify that off and boost it by 12. That basically means if they've locked an engine, you can boost it and purify it. But when they pass, you damage self by 12. So you lose the points. So you have to purify it again. Right? You can purify off the infused effect. You can give it a shield if you're playing like Shield Wall, which is interesting. You can do it that way. Or you could consume it. Like you can be like monsters and just eat the unit. This has quite a few uses, and I'm curious to see if we try this out. The Purify It part makes me like it more, because this is, you have a super strong order card, and they lock it. You can Purify and boost it, and they're probably not going to pass. The thing is, if you do this and they pass right after, it's a 0-point play, so that's where you got to watch out. But in Overwhelming Hunger, for example, you can just use your leader on it. So this is very interesting. And Shield Wall, too, you can just put a shield on it with the leader. So this has potential. I'm curious to see how much we see this played. Then we have Summoning Circle with Spell Tag, Bone Talisman, Organic. Oh, this is actually a big deal. So most of these tag things are just like kind of nice. This one's actually kind of important. The Organic Tag for Bone Talisman, the only deck you really ever see Bone Talisman, and not that much anymore, is in Arachas Swarm. But with the Organic Tag, it will now spawn an extra guy, a drone, and you can search for it with Wispus. Or no, it's Weavis. No, it's Wispus. It's Wispus. Yeah. So you can actually search for this now, and you can actually play it and it'll spawn a drone. This is actually quite nice. Arachas Swarm's not very strong right now, although I have seen some people going with the Lilith's Omen. At least I did see. Haven't played the game in a couple weeks, actually, so I had to fix my laptop. That was awesome. But yeah, this is actually interesting. Curious to see what we do with this. Maybe you'll try Arachas Swarm again. I tried Arachas Swarm not that long ago, and it was still pretty good, even though you don't see it quite often on the ladder. It does well against stuff like the Raid Warriors in a lot of cases, but that depends on the matchup, obviously. I haven't tried with tier against a tier deck yet, but we'll see. Epidemic 5/4 now has Organic. Okay, that's interesting too. And then we have Petri's Filter and Thunderbolt or Alchemies. Okay. Alchemies are good for the Druid deck. Although you don't, well, I guess you can bring them back with, what's her name? Bride of the Sea. You can bring them back and stuff. So that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Filter you probably won't use in that deck, but Thunderbolt maybe. It's a 5/5. Normally your only removal in that deck is the one Giga Scorpion decoction. Maybe replay it again with Bride if you somehow have the rain set up. Thunderbolt, though, is much easier to set up because if you play 2 turns of Rain, the next time you can play your Bride, the opponent will only have 1 turn left. So normally you can play like a Phrase Blessing if you're running a Rain card in your deck. Or you stick with the 4 Vision cards for Bride of the Sea. But you can actually do this. If give them 2 turns of Rain. Can't talk for a second there. Give them 2 turns of Rain, and then 1 turn goes away. You can revive your Thunderbolt. That's not bad. Let's Omen from 12 to 11. Yeah, it seems a little overpriced to me, but it certainly has potential. I haven't actually tried it out yet. I meant to, but that's when I got really busy and fixed my computer. All right, Skellige. Okay. Really would like to see something on the Raid deck getting nerfed, please. All right, let's see. We have Axel 3 Eyes. Okay, well, it looks like we're changing the Druid deck. It's good. The Druid deck needs some buffs. This is actually one of the decks I was meaning to make next. So, Axel 3 Eyes, ability change to melee, spawn and play Crow's Eye Rhizome. I believe the melee order previously was 1 Crow, so this is much, much better. Because he is also a Druid, so you're always going to get the 3 Crows with this. If his base power is still 5, this plays for 11. That's quite good. That's really good. That is really good. I think he's he was a 5 for 7 previously. So this is 11 for 7. That's just really good point slam. Yeah, that's really nice. Okay, what's the mate ranged? Transform adjacent crows into crow messengers. Oh, okay. That's actually very interesting. If you do this early, you get 2 extra crow messengers, which is a big deal when you start reviving them. This is actually really interesting. I think this is going to be a very strong card, the Axel 3 Eyes. If the Crow deck's playable, this is going to be a really strong card. There's so much point slam on this Rhizome. And then if you don't do that, you can set up the Messengers. So the Messengers, I think you'd prefer the Messengers if you're playing the Messengers in your deck. There's 2 extra Messengers, like 8 points every time you bring them back. But Rhizome, this is a really good point slam. I like this. Draco Turtle 5-6, power armor for 5-6. Yeah, I made a video on Draco Turtle a while back, and I just said, like I said, it had basically been power crept. And the other things do its job better. This helps it do its job better, which is what it really needed. Glad to see that. Can't talk, man. Crow Clan Druid, 3-4. This is the heal one that no one ever used, I think. Zeal Order, banish an allied crow, then play a 4 Persian alchemy card from your graveyard and give it to him. Oh, this is a really big buff to the deck. Are any of these 4 provisions that got the alchemy tags? Epidemic is organic, not alchemy. Censor's not 4. Black Blood's not 4. Okay, whatever. There's still good 4 provision alchemy cards in the deck. Oops. So yeah, this lets you just bring back maybe Golden Froth, bring back your Mardrome, bring back your... Oh, what's the other one people play? Yeah, mostly those 2. Those 2 are good. Oh, wait, that's it. Mahakam Ale. That's the last one you play. Yeah, it brings those back. That's really nice. So you're paying essentially 2 points by removing a crow from your field to bring back a alchemy. So let's just say we're bringing back Crow's Eye Rhizome. That was another one I meant to say there. We're getting 2 crows overall from this, so it plays for 8. Yeah, that's really good. This is a really good card. And it also synergizes with the deck. It gives you more crows, which is good if you're playing on a Rhizome. It gives you another alchemy card, which triggers the preachers. This is just really good. The deck did need a lot of help, so let's see if this is... We got the Axel 3 Eyes change, Crow Clan Druid, and usually you run Draco Turtle because there's Mardromes in the deck. It seems like a pretty decent buff to the Druid deck. We'll be trying that out for sure. Especially the Crow Clan Druid here. This card seems really good, has great synergy. And Axel 3 Eyes, like I said, looks really good. Pharaoh Bond, I bet we're seeing a nerf. Skellige Warriors and road damage by 1, then create a Bronze Skellige. Not in your starting deck. Alright, so we're not going to see any more RNG of they just play their first Pharaoh Bond. Oh, look, another Highland Warlord. That just felt awful and didn't feel like they did anything to deserve it. And then you may spawn and it's any that's not in your starting. Okay, good. Pharaoh Bond, which is way too good for its provision cost. Especially with Highland Warlord, like you get the 2-point wolf to your side of the field. Like you summon a 2-point guy to your field with immune. And then you spawn basically whatever you want from your own deck. So you just put in whatever the best cards are, and then you spawn them again. And this thing was just too good. It was just too good for its provision value. If this wasn't a 4 provision card, maybe this is okay, but at 4 provisions, it's just way too much. So I'm glad they changed that. Northern Realms. Melitele, provision cost from 14 to 13. Okay, that's good. Crone effect changed to boost self by 1, then increase the card's ability values by 1. Interesting. I'm going to be honest here, though. We're going to have to open up the library real quick. I hadn't played Melitele, so we're going to have to check here what the exact changes on this. Crone effect. Okay, so we added a boost self by 1 effect to Melitele. I think that's what this is. I'm looking at the old one here. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, so we're just adding a boost self effect to it, so it becomes a bigger finisher if you have to drop it. I like that. Melitele, I didn't play it myself. I only saw it a few times, so I'm guessing it wasn't very good. But this makes it much more interesting, because you have this carryover effect to boost itself. It's a well, not carryover, but you know what I mean, like add points to hands. You have to do the full cycle, so it's not going to be amazing, but you get at least a couple extra points out of it, and it's definitely better. You have a couple more points on it, and it gets a little less provision. It's quite nice. Vendergriff's Blade has Cursed and Warfare tags. Alright, CDPR. See this Cursed tag here? We gotta see some Revenants this year. We gotta see some Revenant changes this year. But for now, yeah, this is fine. To the Scoia'tael changes, then we have Melina, power from 4 to 5. This is really nice. This is the move 1 a turn card. Now, she's still gonna get removed, like every time you play her, probably, because 5 damage isn't too uncommon. But at 4 power, she's just so small. You play her and you get a move effect, and then she dies. So this is nice that she has an extra power. It's a little harder to remove her. She's worth a little more. And I think this is good overall. Movement Scoia'tael, you haven't seen very much. We have Milva, just regular Milva, not Sharpshooter. Immunity when an allied unit moves, boosts self by 1. Oh, this has a lot of potential. We're doing movement stuff here. The other cards are Boar and Dragoon. Yeah, okay, this looks good. So this looks good now. She's going to be immune still, and you play her, and every time something moves self by 1. So you have your the Dryad that moves every turn. That's good with this. You've got your Cat Witchers with this, the Treant Boar, which we'll get to in a second. Just had a power change, it looks like, though, so it's better, which is good. Boar is kind of too easy to kill for what it did. Yes, this looks really good. It looks like it'll be a very strong card for the movement decks in a long round. One of the weaknesses of the movement deck is that everything's an engine, so if it's like a control deck hits you, you're just losing too many points. But if you play a Milva, and then you play your movement card, she's at least getting a point every turn, which is protected under the immunity, so that's quite nice. It helps the deck a lot. Then Treant Boar, like I said here, power from 5 to 6. Boar, it's just not that good. It's not bad. It's just like kind of average, in my opinion. When Boar came out, I know people called it the best card in the game, and I didn't agree with them, but that's what people said when he came out. But yeah, so Boar, it's good. This is nice. Out of 5 damage removal is really good for this card in particular, because it has that heal when it goes from melee to range, which will keep, like, you can't hit it with 5, and then wait a turn and hit it with like a ping. You have to do it all in one turn. So it's a little harder to remove than that might make it look like. And the other nice thing about the Boar here is that it's going to be triggering like your Milva. It's going to be triggering your other cards' effects that need you to move. So having it alive to always be moving is really good. Then we have the Dragoon here. So deploy move a unit to the other row. This is the same. We don't have... Oh, okay. No longer melee and ranged locked. I'm going to be honest here. I never actually thought about this. But it makes way more sense for you just to pick a unit and not have it ranged locked or row locked. This makes way more sense. Just move a unit, like Stray's Spala. If it's an enemy, damage it by 1. If it's an ally, boost it by 2. Oh, this is actually a nice buff. This is actually a really big buff to the Dragoon. So it's still 4 for 4, unless I'm seeing something missing here. Moving it to the other row. If it's an enemy, damage by 1. So it's a 5 for 4. If it's an ally, boost by 2. 6 for 4. This is actually interesting. I think this makes Dragoon much better. You used to tech a Dragoon into some decks, But the thing with Sasuke Commanders, everyone like cut Dragoon because you wanted an elf to come out that did something as an engine card. So you'd always pick Swordmaster, or if you didn't want to play movement, or if you're playing movement, you'd play the Dolbothana Sentry Lady. Sentry or Sentinel, I always forget which one it is. But you'd always play her or Swordmaster, really, because they had order effects or like ongoing effects. You wouldn't play anything with deploy. But this actually makes this somewhat compelling to use. And a lot of buffs to movement here, which we'll be trying out for sure. Next up, we have Nilfgaard. I know what card's going to be here. Torres Var Emreis, Highest Priest. Who could have seen this coming? Doomed Assimilate. Deploy. Return a non-doomed allied unit that is not from your starting deck to your hand, excluding self. Boost by 2. Okay, that's nice. Give it doomed and then play a card. If there's no valid target, create and play a bronze unit from your opponent's faction instead, and boost it by 2. Who could imagine that replaying any unit of your choice would be too good? It's not like we had a leader ability in the game called Emir that did that exact same thing and had to get removed from the game because it was too strong. I'll give me a hard time here, but come on. When everyone saw this card, they knew it would be broken. Replaying a unit is too good, especially in Nilfgaard. But yeah, this seems like it's focused on more on being an assimilate card now rather than just being your second Stefan auto win GG. But yeah, I'm just tired of seeing Stefan. I haven't even played in 2 weeks and I'm still tired of seeing Stefan. It's too much control. But yeah, this seems like a good nerf to the card. Make it more focused on the assimilate, not a Stefan Hefty Helga combo card. Yeah, I'm just amazed. I'm so amazed they thought this would be a good idea to put in the game without like some kind of stipulation. It's returning a card to your hand and playing it again. It's just way too good. I thought we learned that from Amir, but I guess we've learned it again now. Syndicate. Okay. Oh, there's a lot of changes here. Let's see what we've got here. Blood Money. Oh, leader change. Okay, let's take a look. 16 to 15. Sure. Are we just going to make everything 15 provisions? Get me a little honest. That's kind of boring, but whatever. If we're going to make the abilities themselves more interesting, we can change the provisions, but I just don't really want us to go to the point where every leader is 15 provisions, because having those extra provisions to work with, or like a couple less, actually makes the deck building a little more interesting, in my opinion, but whatever. Order. Damage enemy by 6, so what was it? So 7, right? So 6 instead of 7. Gain coins equal to excess damage. So this is worse. But, when an enemy unit with bounty is destroyed, increase the damage by 1. Ooh, that's actually quite nice. If the order is used up, refresh it and set the damage to 1 instead. Okay. So, first things here. How many cards with bounty do you typically destroy in a game? I've played quite a bit of bounty. And if you're not using Caleb, because Caleb lets you do more, but that's kind of sketchy because they always kill Caleb. Usually I'd say you can destroy about 6 to 7 units with bounty throughout the game if you're trying. If you're just playing like Graydon and a couple bounty cards, probably like 3 or 4. But I'm going to go with like 6. 6 is probably a number you can consistently get if you're doing a good job of destroying stuff with bounty. So what does that give us? 12 damage with extra coins. That's not bad. Obviously it's not bad. That's actually really good. The question is, when do you want to use it? Because it refreshing itself just means you can use it early. Maybe you actually just spam more bounties out because you can leader kill them. Like if we just put out a bounty and then we kill it with the leader, it would refresh the leader with 1. This is really interesting. I think we'll be trying out bounty. I think you can get a lot of value out of this, especially with the refresh. Yeah, this seems really good now. Well, not like compared to every other deck in the game, it just seems much better than it was for the bounty deck. I like it. Count Reuven's Treasure. 12 to 11. Yeah, Count Reuven's Treasure. I mean, I tried to use it in Tide Cloaks because it seems like it'd be good in the Tide Cloaks with the extra coin each turn for your Gudrun. But it just was very awkward to use. And now has the crime tag. Oh, I missed that part. Hold on a second. Crime tag. This is really good because you want to play it earlier so you can get those coins stored up in the treasure. Like maybe you're bleeding round 2 or something. You're storing coins inside the treasure. Then round 3, you're going to play your Tide Cloaks. Although you probably want to have a longer round 3 for the Tide Cloaks anyway, but something like that. Having it at the crime tag means you can search it with Fairco. That's really nice. Makes it much easier to have this thing consistently. Nice buff to this. So Fabian, power from 4 to 5. Fabian, I don't know if I'll use Fabian still. He's the one where if it already has bounty, you just get the coins, right? So that's decent-ish, but it's not amazing. It's definitely better. Ignatius, power from 12 to 18. What the first thing I think of here is Hyperthin Syndicate. It is a deck that used to exist, kind of. But maybe we'll play around with this. Let's see what he does. From provisions from 6 to 9, because 18 is the highest base power in the game. So Hyperthin, maybe, but you don't have Zarthesius. But whatever, let's go read what the actual changes are before we start playing meme decks. Ability change at the beginning of the game or when spawned. So if you make this thing off Alzur and what's the Orb of Insight combo, which happens sometimes. This is like a really big high roll if you got this thing. Set power to 1. Okay. One hand deck around the battlefield whenever enemy unit with bounty is destroyed, heals self by its base power. So we'd have to heal this thing 17. Can we destroy 17 power worth of enemies? Yeah, that shouldn't be too much of a problem. That'll make this a really nice finisher card. Really nice finisher card. I guess the Hyperthin is kind of, well, maybe bounty Hyperthin. Alright, that's a little meme. But yeah, this, for bounty decks, this seems like a really good buff. You can pretty easily get this much tower destroyed. And so what, 3 or 4, actually no, 17 points. It's probably 4 units you have to kill with bounty. That's reasonable. If it was like 20 units or something, that would be crazy. But yeah, when I first saw this, I was like, does this mean that we have to destroy 17 units? I thought it was heal itself by 1 and not the unit's base power. And I was like, this is way too much. But yeah, this makes way more sense now. Yeah, this seems good. It seems really good. So it's a nice finisher to the deck. You had the Brute, and I liked the Brute. I thought the Brute was pretty good. It was a little awkward to use, but I thought he was really good. So this is our alternative finisher. Octavia. It's good. If we're buffing these, it's nice to see Octavia getting some attention too. The Fee. Yeah, her Fee was nice to protect stuff, but it wasn't very efficient. Fee 2 boosts Witcher Hunter by 3. Okay, that's fine. So it's just 2 for 2 instead of 1 for 1, right? Then we have, if you destroyed an enemy this turn, boost by 3. Oh, here we go. That's what I'm talking about. See, that's synergy with the bounty deck. It helps you protect your guys. Maybe you can play Caleb without him dying, although he's still row locked. I don't see him down here. Yeah, so he's still row locked. But yeah, this seems like a nice buff. I like this change to Octavia. I like Octavia as well. Yeah. Oh, we got the Brute getting changed. Hopefully we don't change him too much. I thought he was actually kind of good. Profit 0, boost self by 0. The boost is equal to the base power of the highest power unit with bounties for the end. Okay, this is really nice. This is a nice buff to the Brute. I liked the Brute. Like I said, I thought he was pretty good. But I think I also said he was awkward. Because you'd want to destroy like their big guy, then play the Brute. But sometimes you'd want to wait to play the Brute as your finisher, but then you'd lose points on him because the last thing you killed wasn't the biggest one. Yeah, this is a really nice change to the Brute. This is the bounty enemy unit. Profit's the same. Yeah, so this is a nice buff. You have Brute and Ignatius. It's good finishers, the bounty now. You got Blood Money, buff to Octavia, Confession Extractor. Oh, here it is. I was going to read this before I made that statement, but let's read it. Provision cost from 5 to 4. Profit from 5 to 4. Okay, so this is nice, actually. This is a nice change. You still have that graveyard effect of doing the damage. So now it really is 7 for 4. And the damage helps you, which is really good. And you still get the coins. Like the 5 coins was sometimes excessive. But the graveyard damage was quite helpful if you're playing the bounties. So I like this. Yeah, so this looks overall pretty good for bounty. And then we got Scapegoat from 1 to 2 power, 6 to 7 coins. I mean, that's nice because you're going to get the refund on the value. So making the Scapegoat 1 more and 1 more is basically similar. It does mean you can't instantly kill it by playing a Confession Extractor than playing it, which is good because that would overprofit you coins and didn't feel great. So yeah, that's a nice change. That especially specifically interaction with Confession Extractor and Scapegoat. This makes a nice change here. But yeah, so overall with the patch, I quite like the idea here. We're buffing some of the neutrals that were good and didn't see play. We're nerfing a little bit the raid deck, nerfing quite a bit the tactics deck with this change to Torres, buffing the druid deck, and then we're going to buff the bounty deck, which are 2 decks that don't see much play and are power crept quite a bit. But yeah, this overall seems like a good patch. I'm excited to try these out. And we'll see you guys again tomorrow when we start playing these decks again. We finally got everything sorted out here. Hopefully you enjoyed, and we'll see you then. That'll be it for this one, guys. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you next time. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more. And you can check out some more videos over here. And thanks for watching.